Pre-season in Europe and time for a trip to Porto Alegre in Brazil. It's a return home for Douglas Costa after a breakthrough season with German giants Bayern Munich.
I come back whenever I can. My mum lives in São Leopoldo and I lived in Porto Alegre. Whenever I get the time, I do the things that mean a lot to me.
Each visit back to Porto Alegre is greeted with a hero's welcome. Family and roots are clearly important to this Brazilian star, who took his inspiration from close to home.
My dad never played professionally, but I always watched him play, and I always had him watching me play, so I never really had any idols. It was only after I went to Gremio that I began looking up to the likes of Ronaldinho, and I started to get close to players of real quality. I watch Gremio matches whenever I can. Gremio was the first big club that took me in. It's where I grew up. I had great coaches that taught me a lot, so Gremio has a place in my heart as somewhere that taught me many things, because I arrived as a boy and left Gremio when I was 19.
At 19, Costa's life was turned on its head. He left Gremio to play for Shakhtar Donetsk in Ukraine, instantly transported to a new remote culture and climate.
Shakhtar was where I had my first contact with really cold weather, with Europe, with another language. What saddened me there was the threat of war in a country I knew very little about. But I wasn't too badly affected, because everything really happened after I'd left. I used to get upset because the stadium wasn't full. There weren't many supporters there, because people were worried about the political situation. I spent 5.5 years at Shakhtar. I started as a substitute there, but I ended up getting called up for El Seleção. So Shakhtar was a period when I experienced the highs and lows that every player must go through. I lived through that at Shakhtar and I was happy. I think my time there was a good foundation for the rest of my career.
The winger's form was noticed by then Brazil coach Dunga.
It's difficult when you're playing in Eastern Europe to get noticed, but I managed to get selected whilst playing for Shakhtar. It was there that I began my journey with the Brazilian national team. It was a starting point. I was very pleased to get called up while playing out in the East.
Dunga wasn't the only one aware of his talent. In July 2015, Bayern Munich paid €30 million for his services, making Douglas Costa their 6th most expensive signing ever.
The Germans gave me a warm welcome, and I plan to stay there for a long time because the place is different to Brazil. You're able to live a comfortable, quiet life. When the weather's hot, I cycle to training, which is impossible here in Brazil. So I think the quality of life in Germany is wonderful. The Bundesliga was my first experience of a big championship, and I was able to help my team win the title. So I was very glad to be able to deliver at that level. I like the Bundesliga because there's a lot of counter-attacking. The game's very much give and take, and that's why there's so many goals in the championship.
Costa has already represented Brazil at a World Cup with the under-20s in Egypt in 2009. With the senior team, he's keen to be part of Brazil's rebuilding after recent failure at the World Cup and Copa America. And with Dunga replaced by new coach, Tite.
At the under-20s World Cup I went to, we had a great tournament, an excellent World Cup, but we didn't win the title, and you're only remembered when you win. Still, it was a World Cup, and God willing, I hope to play at another World Cup, but this time with the senior team. That's what everyone dreams about, and it's my dream too. I'm hoping, and I think Brazil is also hoping for something to change, something that can win back the fans, because I think deep down, everyone supports Brazil. So I'd like TT to restore that pride of supporting Brazil. I think this is TT's mission, to be able to rescue that. and also qualify for the World Cup. I think this is the goal now, to be able to go to the World Cup with the conviction that we can be champions again.
Brasil campeón!